From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Well, we're reaching that point with the Wonder Fire where the worst is behind us. And this is something I actually mentioned on social media yesterday. But that all being said, we still can't let our guard down. We still got to keep an eye on it. Conditions can change for the worse sometimes, unexpectedly. And we've got to keep a close eye on it. However, that being said, not much to really talk about when it comes to the Wonder Fire. As of last report, and keep in mind, this is always a moving number when it comes to fires. But as of last report, around 4 o'clock this morning, 150 acres and about 35% containment. Now, what we're starting to see happen is we're seeing the acreage grow at a slower rate, and we're seeing the containment grow at a higher rate. Now, that's good. You want the containment to get higher and higher because that means if we get closer to 100%, everything's okay. So there you can see that's what it looks like in the last 24, 48 hours, right? That's kind of the heat signature. So red means it's recent, and you start getting these gray colors. That's several days ago. So we're kind of seeing less and less activity coming from the fire, and the satellites aren't picking up on the heat signature from the fire as a result. Now, we look at the fire potential, the brown and the yellow indicating, yeah, these are areas we need to be concerned. The green is where we don't need to be as concerned. It's a little to no risk, actually, and that's pretty typical along the coast, right? But little less concerned here, more concerned to get in the brown. You start getting in the oranges and reds, even more concerned because now we're talking about winds and heat and maybe the potential for lightning, but that's not the case now. Now we do have elevated and critical for Modoc and Lassen counties here, and that's the reason why there's actually a fire weather watch which we'll get into here in a second. Now we go into tomorrow, we're not seeing the critical aspect, but still elevated. Now keep in mind, even though we're not seeing that for the rest of Northern California, what this is essentially saying is that conditions are a little bit more prime for a fire to spread rapidly should it start. So that means the winds will be a bit stronger, that means the humidity is going to be lower. And as a result, we do have a fire weather watch for 1 to 9 p.m. today for the gusty winds and dry conditions for those areas I just highlighted. Okay, so that's eastern Modoc, eastern Lassen counties. So the winds today, they're picking up even for the valley. But notice how they're even stronger off into the eastern mountains. Take you into your Thursday, same situations. Maybe a little bit gusty as we go into Thursday afternoon for parts of the valley, but not that bad. Once again, though, the winds are stronger off to the east. And that's normal. We typically see that this time of the year. When we look at the humidity levels, we see the recovery overnight, but then it dries out this afternoon, even for the eastern mountains. We take you into Thursday morning, recovery. You see the numbers getting higher, but then they drop again, lower humidity for Thursday afternoon. And this will probably be the case on Friday. This is normal for us to see these dry conditions. It's when we start to see those winds pick up that we've got to be a little bit more concerned. Now the smoke coming out of these fires, you can see that south wind today. That'll blow the smoke from the Wonder Fire northward. But it's not going to be a lot of smoke. It's not going to be a major concern as far as air quality is concerned. Still a little bit of haze off to our west from the fires from southwestern Oregon. And then it looks like maybe a little bit more haze going into your Thursday morning and even into midday and afternoon on Thursday. But you can see on Thursday, it looks like a lot of that haze kind of moving on out. All right, let's switch gears and talk more about, well, of course, just the forecast in general. You can see below normal highs through the weekend. We're going to keep our temperatures most likely below 100 degrees for most of us in the valley over the next several days, struggling to reach 100 degrees and no big heat waves, at least for the next week. That may be a bit of a different story as we go in the next week and a half to 2 weeks, which we'll get into here in a second. But here you can see, yeah, I think we could touch 100 degrees for Redding and Red Bluff, not necessarily the case for Chico. Now for the mountains, Siskiyou, Modoc County, we're in the low 90s for those daytime highs. And we take off to the eastern mountains, upper 80s, low 90s. No big surprises here either. We'll take a look at the satellite image here from the last 12 hours. You can see the storms riding up to our north. You can see the monsoon moisture down to our south and east, and we're kind of stuck in between the two. Now we'll talk about that heat. We got this cooler air up to our north, and that's pushing that heat and keeping that heat from moving in through this upcoming weekend. Now as we go through next week, this is where I start to see some changes. As we go into around the end of next week into that next weekend, here's the potential for some big heat heading our way. This is heat that could potentially bring us 110 plus degree temperatures. But we're talking a week and a half to 2 weeks from now as it keeps that cooler air from moving in. We can't take this to be the exact forecast, but it is something that I'm monitoring and watching closely because I've seen this trend over the last few days from this particular forecast model, and it looks like it's still holding together. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll certainly keep you informed, but for now, get out there and enjoy this more manageable heat. Temperatures upper 90s to about 100 degrees, mid to really basically between 95 and 100 in the valley. So there you can see that monsoon moisture to our south and east, but by Monday of next week, we could see some more of that mid-level monsoon moisture coming in. Now what that means is it's going to feel more humid. We'll be looking at more mid and high level clouds moving in, but it won't be enough moisture for us to see thunderstorms develop. So as of right now, I don't anticipate any thunderstorms from this intrusion of monsoon moisture because by the time we get to Tuesday, Wednesday, it moves back down to the south and east and we're no longer really concerned about that. So this is that time of the year we got to watch the potential for thunderstorms too. And as of right now, I'm not seeing that potential anytime soon. So here you can see, again, we could touch 100 degrees for Redding and Red Bluff, mid-90s for Chico and Oroville, 94 degrees for Willows, and for the mountains in the upper 80s, low 90s. We look at that 7-day forecast, and for most of us in the mountains, we're talking upper 80s to low 90s. That's the trend for the next 7 days. Now, for Susanville, it may be a little bit harder to drop below 90, but it's close. You're basically talking between 90, 92 through at least Sunday, and then 93 to 94 by Monday and Tuesday. Now for the valley, obviously some triple-digit heat in there. I think Redding, Red Bluff could possibly touch 100 degrees today. And then we're going to see temperatures drop a bit, mid to upper 90s through the weekend. And then another uptick in our temperatures come Monday, Tuesday, Redding back up to about 100 degrees. But look at Chico. You'll most likely dodge that triple-digit mark over the next 7 days.